can't believe that two beautiful girls who were just in their own home, one asleep and one revising for her A-levels, can be brutally murdered in their own homes.
Carol and Julie share the same pain. Both of their daughters, Poppy and Ellie, were murdered by their ex-boyfriends. In the aftermath, they were both shocked at how low the sentences were that were handed down to the killers. In Ellie's case, that was partly because he was just 17 years old, but it was also because the murder weapons were already inside the house before they were used in the attacks, a common feature of these types of domestic crimes.
At the moment, the minimum sentence that can be handed out for a murder that takes place where a weapon is already at the scene of the crime is a 15-year starting point. If a weapon is taken to a scene of the crime, the minimum starting point is 25 years. So there's a 10-year gap there. And we strongly believe that is utterly ridiculous.
These disparities that exist in the justice system, in your opinion, do they exist because the victims of these crimes tend to be women and girls?
It's very hard to think of any argument against that. I mean, there are women. It's happening to women and girls. The judicial system is clearly mainly full of men of a certain age, and these crimes are happening to women by men generally. And one can't help but think that if it was the same amount of men being killed, we wouldn't be having this conversation now.
The pair gave evidence to a government review on the issue, which is set to report in the next few weeks. It was commissioned by the then Justice Secretary Robert Buckland as part of a wider commitment to tackle violence against women and girls. But he's since been replaced, and they're concerned that the issue is no longer a priority.
I've had a couple of meetings with Robert Buckland, and the most recent one, Julie, was there as well. We really felt like we were gaining traction with him, and we were absolutely devastated when a week later, after our meeting, he was removed from office. We've had no contact with Dominic Raab. We've been told by the Ministry of Justice that the review is still going on, but I don't feel he's never reached out to us, so I don't feel we will have the same backing that we had from Robert Buckland.
Now, on the backbenches, Mr Buckland is still pushing to see reforms he initiated brought in.
There is an emergency when it comes to violence against women and girls. We want women and girls across our country to be safe, but be safe in a way that doesn't mean that they have to lock themselves up, that we deal with those who are perpetrating the violence and deal with the root cause of this, and when it happens, that we pass appropriate sentences that reflect the full extent of the severity of those crimes.
Labour's Jess Phillips, who has worked with government ministers on the issue, wants to see more urgency.
There's absolutely no way that we could describe our justice system in the UK as being fit for purpose with regard to violence against women and girls in any form, but very specifically domestic abuse. From the very beginning of a case coming forward to the police, right up to the moment of sentencing, there is so many failures within the system.
For Carol and Julie, they're determined to keep campaigning for change, driven by their love for their daughters, whose loss has left their lives permanently diminished.
It just breaks you. It just breaks you. And you look into the future, but it just seems just grey and still broken. I can't ever imagine a time when everything's going to be put back together. It won't be. It won't be.
I suppose I feel so strongly that I want to protect women and girls going forward. I want these dangerous perpetrators off the streets. I want justice for them.
Carol Gould ending that report by Liz Bates, who spoke to the Justice Minister, Victoria Atkins, about domestic homicide earlier this week.
Well, as the cases of both Poppy and Ellie show, they can be very complex. They're incredibly traumatic for the families and loved ones who have lost their beloved daughters. But we also need to be realistic that within a court setting, that courts across the country have to deal with these very serious cases and reflect on the facts of the case, but also on legal precedent. I'm speaking in very sort of cagey terms because I don't for a moment want to preempt the finding of that review.
When we spoke to them, they had had a lot of engagement from the department, they'd been involved in the review, and they'd spoken a lot to Robert Buckland, who of course was the person that commissioned the review in the first place. Now that the Secretary of State has changed, their concern is that they are worried that it isn't a priority anymore.
Please, they mustn't be worried about that. I was the minister that took the domestic abuse bill through Parliament. This department, this Secretary of State and I are committed to contributing and leading on the government's work to tackle violence against women and girls.
And do you think that historically the justice system has sometimes treated crimes against women and girls, particularly in the home in a domestic setting, as sort of lesser crimes?
Back in the day, it was known, often referred to as a domestic, in inverted commas. Nowadays, that attitude, I believe, and from what I know from charities working with victims, that has changed. I'm not saying we're the whole way there yet, but domestic abuse is everyone's business. And I think interestingly, over the last 18 months or so, our collective knowledge of the different signs of domestic abuse has been heightened precisely because we've been concerned about the impacts of lockdown and so on. And if we are able to spread this awareness, that really will help in every corner of society, not just in the criminal justice system.
And just finally, aside from the work that you've done on this as a minister, is it important to you as a woman to change how women and girls are treated in the justice system?
It really is, and I've spent my entire career working in the criminal justice system. I worked in the criminal courts until I was elected to the House of Commons, and there are women who I could not help. When I first started out as a trainee, I couldn't help them in the magistrates' courts when they had reported their common assaults, as they used to be, as they were then, and before they got to court, they issued a withdrawal statement, which meant we suspected that the perpetrator had got to her and stopped her from giving evidence in her own case. And it is for those women who I could not get justice for then, for them, that this is so important.
Victoria Atkins, thank you very much.
Thank you.